this business of self-publishing, hard as it is, seems like every ne'er-do-well is just putting their hand into the honey pot and trying to take their little piece of the pie, and even to your disadvantage, if you will. And that's why there's just a ton of these sketchy companies out there. And I mean, gosh, they're so scary. They're just selfish. They're just self-serving, and they're not really there to help you at all. But trying to sift through all that madness is just really, really tough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together kind of a checklist, if you will, of things that you need to kind of consider as you're building out your self-publishing business, and some of the things to look out for, so that way you aren't going to be taken for a ride.
Learn how to publish books and build your author business with award-winning author and self-publishing consultant Dale L. Roberts. This is the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast.
Before we do jump into today's podcast episode, I do want to give a quick reminder that the Get Covers giveaway is still underway. We are less than 24 hours from choosing our second lucky winner for a ebook and print ready book cover design made by Get Covers, worth $20. The deadline for this is on June the 6th at 11:45 Eastern Daytime, so you don't want to miss out on that, but that's okay. If you do miss it, I've got 2 other giveaways after this one, and it's all going to culminate in the final prize of being a movie poster done for you. Yes, a movie poster worth $35. It's going to be pretty amazing. And also you're going to be featured on a future video, a short video, if you will, over on the main channel there with Self-Publishing with Dale. You don't want to leave your book cover to chance though, folks. So if you need that book cover and you need it now, don't sit here and wait around for a giveaway and hope that you're going to win, because I'm not going to be doing that many giveaways. Find out why Get Covers is my preferred cover design service on a budget when you visit the affiliate link of dalelinks.com/getcovers. So you've got those 2 avenues. Again, go enter all right away. And if you're watching this after the deadline, go enter it anyways, because you're going to get yourself into the very next one. All right, let's dive into this whole scariest self-publishing services and companies out there. And the part that I think that we need to address is the word scam. You hear scam thrown around for just about everything. Scam this, scam that. Heck, I think someone's even called me a scam at some point or another. Not sure how that works out. But what qualifies as a scam to me may not be what you qualify as a scam, but let's just at least see where I'm coming from on this one. What I won't be doing in this video, the very first thing I'm going to just tell you here, this podcast episode is not going to be about punching down or calling out any one of these brands or companies. Why? Because that gives exposure to the wrong people. Because one of the biggest mistakes I could make is say XYZ company is horrible. You shouldn't go with them. What's going to be the thing you're going to do? You're going to go over to their website and you're going to check them out. So I'm not going to give them that traffic or the satisfaction for you to go over and look at them. But I think that if you comment inside this video here on the YouTube channel and you keep it professional, I'm not going to disagree or agree with you, but just go ahead and feel free to share your thoughts there over inside the Discord community as well. I'd much rather spend that time more wisely sharing great self-publishing companies and services. Yeah, we're going to be talking about bad companies, but I'm just not going to name any of them. But there is one, actually technically 2. More on them later. I'll discuss why I have no issue in saying it, because, well, they've got a monopoly. I think some of you know where I'm going with this. So a scam, let's just talk about what a scam is. Cost versus delivered value is typically what we're looking at. Cost versus value. If a service delivers on the value, then I would say it's not a scam. In some instances, there are some of these companies and services that I will mention later on that still deliver the value, but they're really cheeky and sneaky about how they deliver it. So that way, if you want to go get a refund, they're kind of like, I gotcha. And you'll understand what I mean when we get up to that. If a service delivers nothing, then that's definitely a scam. If you are putting money down and they've run off with your money and they've ghosted you and they haven't given you anything whatsoever, I definitely call that a scam. Now, when it comes to these other scary self-publishing companies and services, a lot of them are going to deliver, but the value doesn't sometimes deliver on how much you've invested in it. So that's why it's important that we kind of just go through some of these so that way it makes more sense. The very first thing right out the rip, I'm going to just say number one, guaranteed review services. If you have seen any of these review service sites where they say guaranteed 50 reviews or your money back, guaranteed 25 reviews, those are the ones I'm talking about. Now, let's first of all discuss two different types of reviews. We've got editorial reviews versus customer reviews. Now, the reason we want to stray away from paid reviews for customer reviews is on sites like Amazon, they do not like you paying to have a review. Now, there are some services like Puppy.co or GetBooksReviewed.com or any of those other ones. Those are not scams. What they're doing is you're paying for the right to get reviews from other authors or readers on their platform. You're not paying those reviewers money, so that doesn't count as a paid review. So just so you know that, and by the way, I wasn't throwing Puppy, under the bus or anything else like that. It's still a legit service. So those are instances where it seems like it's a shade of gray, but it's still okay. It's when you're paying the reviewer directly to leave reviews over on Amazon where it becomes an issue. I know a longtime supporter and follower of my channel DM'd me about a few weeks ago and was like, hey, you should check out my review service, guaranteed to get X amount of reviews on their thing. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm not going to promote that. That's not a good idea. You do not want to be paying someone to leave a review. Now, where I talked about editorial reviews versus custom reviews, this is where editorial reviews comes in. You are paying someone to read and review and leave a thoughtful review of your book, but it won't be posted to sites like Amazon because obviously it's against the terms and conditions of Amazon reviews. So editorial reviews, you're able to use those through your website. You can do it inside the editorial reviews section over on Amazon Author Central. These are ways that you can kind of really lean on, services like Kirkus. That's one right off the top of my head. Readers' Favorites, like another one. But editorial reviews won't get that review posted on Amazon. And that's really what you're looking for. So if you're ever trying to sift through some of these review services, figure out, am I paying the reader to leave a review on Amazon or a specific website beyond their own? If that's the case, pass. Move it along. If it's an editorial review, typically they're going to post it on their website, or maybe they have a news source that they feed it out to. Totally fine, so long as they're not playing around with Amazon, because you don't want to get caught in the crossfire of Amazon review team and KDP, because if they start to really put those connections together, you're going to be in some real hot water, and I don't want that to happen to you. Now, speaking of guaranteed services, this other one just absolutely slays me, and I've actually been speaking to one of the longtime followers here on this channel about this particular area. It's guaranteed bestseller services. If you ever see a service that says they're going to give you a guaranteed bestseller, run away. Run absolutely away. There is no exception to this rule, because those type of services are absolutely just the worst. Now, there are quite a few variations, but the main ones you're going to typically see are the guarantee of the bestseller tag on Amazon. It's just absolutely foolish, because you and I should hopefully know, and if you don't know this yet, getting a bestseller on Amazon really is all about being selective about a specific category where there's not very much competition, and getting the right timing. I did a full case study about this a few years ago with my brother's book, and he sold, I don't know, it was like 12 copies, maybe 24 copies in the first day, and he hit bestseller in numerous categories. And it was 99 cents a piece. So spending money to get a bestseller tag is absolutely ludicrous. It's a stupid waste of your money. Spend that money elsewhere, over in Amazon ads, or go to a book promo site of some sort, but don't put it towards these guaranteed bestseller services. Now, here's where they're going to get you. This is where you got to pay closest attention. If for some reason you're like, Dale, I want to go check out these services. I want to be a bestseller. I know you say it's going to take 12 to 24 in a day, but I can't do that. I'm just going to go ahead and pay this service. pay closest attention to the fact that some of them will get you bestseller tag for free, meaning that if your book is on a free download, you get to be a bestseller. Okay, I understand that there's a little bit of an asterisk right there. And what they're doing is they're preying on your naivety. You're not going to be selling a ton of books and making a ton of money. So why are you going to be paying for a service that's going to get you a quote unquote bestseller tag from selling free books? That's just goofy. It's silly. Now, if you are going to use those services, make sure it's paid. But the problem is you start to run into some real sketchy area here, because to really kind of put it all in perspective here on this one, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's back it up just a little bit. Let's take it off of Amazon for a second and talk about the Wall Street Journal best-selling books, or the USA Today bestseller list, or the New York Times bestseller list. There are some services out there, and I am not kidding you, that will charge upwards of $25,000 to get your book on the Wall Street Journal best-selling list, or the USA Today bestseller list, or the New York Times bestseller list. And how are they doing this? Well, obviously on Amazon, to get the bestseller tag, you sell X amount of books over on Amazon. Now with something like the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, New York Times, all of those type of ones function on a weekly basis typically. And what they do is what is cumulatively being sold throughout the course of a week is typically coming through brick and mortar stores, or physical bookstores of some sort. Now, there are some exceptions where it does track some of them on some websites, but it's, usually the exception to the rule. Usually it's going to be in a brick and mortar store. And when someone purchases or orders your book through a brick and mortar store, it will go ahead and ping services like Nielsen Bookscan, for instance, and it'll let them know like, hey, Dale sold 10 books over in Ohio and 20 books in New York and blah, blah, blah. The issue is going to be when a service like this promises to get you a bestseller tag, how are they getting the books purchased? Are these real readers? I mean, are they sending traffic over towards that direction? Chances are very likely no. They're just taking that money that you've given them, that $25,000. And by the way, I'm not exaggerating this. I saw one service and they wanted to be a guest on my channel. And I was like, hell no. Hell no, you don't. Not for $25,000 on your sketchy service, man. Like, I don't even want to give you the platform. So how are they purchasing it? Chances are very likely they're dipping into however much money you've given them, and they're going through to different brick and mortar stores and purchasing those. They might have different people in different areas of the world, so that way it seems like it's going to be legit. And it's just goofy. Why are you going to get a bestseller tag? I think I heard MK Williams, good friend here of the channel, MK, just a gem, brings up a good point sometimes. Bank versus rank. I'd rather get the money than have the rank, because having a bestseller tag, folks, doesn't pay you bills. All right. Selling books pays your bills. Now, if you want to have that vanity tag on you, I'm not going to fault you for that, but I think you're foolish if you're going to spend $25,000 just to have something that's completely rigged. I mean, can you imagine if the Olympics worked that way? If people were going to a competition and I just go ahead and have somebody substitute in for me and race and win that. And then I can say, yeah, I won that Olympic race there. That was me. They did it for me. Like, what? That's just goofy. So how do these function? Typically, it's probably going to be customer source sales or some sketchy email service. So this means that whatever they're doing, you need to know. So that's going to be the questions you need to ask these type of companies. If you do end up saying, you know what, Dale, screw it, I want to go do it. I've got $25,000 to spare, so I'm going to go try these things out. Where are they getting the sales? Are these legit customers? Where do they get the customers? And is it done through an email service? Do they have an email list of some sort? Where do they get those emails from? And the most important question you need to ask yourself is, where did they get the readers? That's really important here, folks. Can you see the opt-in email page? So if there's some type of an email opt-in page, you should be able to see it. Like, where are you sending people to? How are you getting these readers? And the most important thing you need to ask yourself is, are they your ideal readers or just a general audience? Now let me explain why it makes sense to get your ideal readers versus a general audience. Because when someone purchases your book through a site like Amazon, what it's doing is it's building a history inside your product page that's going to start to build recommendations, and also something that we like to call also bots. Customers also bought. So let's just say, for instance, a customer also bought one of David Gaughran's books when they bought one of mine. Right? That makes sense. What wouldn't make sense is, I don't know, we'll say a thriller suspense book being recommended with my book about self-publishing. It's going to get it to where there is a mismatch. And so when Amazon or an algorithm of some sort serves this up to a customer, they're thinking, oh, this customer likes these types of books, so chances are likely they're going to enjoy this one as well. But if they're going after Werebear Shapeshifter books and they're being served a book about self-publishing, it's not very likely they're going to buy that book. So therefore, it's going to drive down the relevance, and it's going to essentially pollute and taint any of your recommendations for that book. So this is why it's so important that you need to know, is it going to my ideal readers or just a general audience? I don't want a general audience. I want avid readers who are going to really want to read my book, because I would much rather have someone read my book than buy it and just be like, hey, here's your participation award. No, thanks. I'll pass on that. That's really just swell of you. All right, let's go into the very next one. Now, this one's one, you hear this word thrown out a lot, and it's vanity publishers. Now, let's back it up just a second. What are vanity publishers? That's going to be the very first one. Back in the day, before we have the modern day self-publishing model, vanity publishers were essentially the only way to kind of get your books self-published versus DIY, like, if you're Henry Rollins or somebody else that ended up doing some offset publishing through some local printer of some sort. But vanity publishers typically are there for vanity's sake. You're going to write and publish your book, and they'll go ahead and do it for you. Now, these done-for-you services are not all bad. There are some vanity publishers that are good, but the ones you need to be wary of are going to be the ones that tie up your book through different types of contracts or agreements. A lot of these vanity publishers, too, will prey on the fact that you don't know any better, that you have the money, so they're just going to go ahead and take it. They don't care whether you have success. They'll tell you to your face, we want to see you successful. They don't care. All they care about is getting their money and probably upselling you on something in addition to their normal services. So when you're looking into any type of vanity publisher of some sort, fair warning, if you get a contract of some sort, you're signing something, whether physically or digitally, you need to review that and also get a lawyer to review it, because you could be signing over the rights to your content. And I know many authors out there that have naively signed some of these contracts and they've lost complete rights to it. A good friend of mine actually did a vanity publisher, and the vanity publishing house just ghosted him, disappeared. Like, they just gone. That was it. But the books are still up. So this means they're still collecting money on these books that they have signed over, and he can't get it out of that contract other than possibly taking them to court, and good luck, because he has no way of contacting them because they ghosted him, for crying out loud. You see where it kind of just really gets sketchy? It's just absolutely crazy. So be careful, folks. If you're doing some type of a done-for-you service or a vanity publishing service, read the fine print. Ask questions, no matter how confrontational it might be and how uncomfortable you might feel. It's better to ask the dirty questions up front than wait to find out all the dirty answers after you've already invested a ton of money into a vanity publishing, service of some sort. Now, I was going to mention two services that are just the scariest of self-publishing services out there. And it is because they are monopolies, and that is Bowker and Nielsen. Now, let me explain what they do. They're an ISBN registration company of some sort. Bowker services US and Australia. Nielsen handles UK. Now, with these services here, you get your international standard book number, which gets associated with whatever book that you intend to publish. The issue is they're a monopoly. If you try to buy, if you're in the US or Australia or UK, if you buy from any other specific service, you're essentially going to a third-party company, getting their imprint name on your ISBN, so then it's just a waste of money. And then you don't actually own the imprint whatsoever. And that's just the crazy part to me. All right, now, they're monopolies. There is no other company in the US, Australia, and UK that delivers ISBNs. Now, I could probably, do a lot of digging and tell you conspiracy theories about why they're a monopoly, but the part that makes them the worst is the fact that they've got other things inside their services beyond that. And these are the most ridiculous upsells. Let me give you a great example. Barcodes, fun fact, you can get them done 100% free. 100% free. Most platforms will give it to you automatically free, but if you want to get brick and mortar placement, there's certain things you need to put in place, like you have to put the manufacturer's suggested retail price on the barcode, and sometimes the category or whatever. But getting the barcode is just as simple as go on Google, type up free barcode generator. For me, I go to Kindlepreneur. Kindlepreneur has a great barcode generator. It's 100% free. It'll put all those things in place that I mentioned to you, and then you can go ahead and put it on that. So Bowker decides, we're just going to go ahead and charge you a ton of money if you buy one of our ISBNs. And we're talking it's $125 per ISBN. But if you buy it in bulk, good news. They're not going to screw you as badly. I bought over 1,000 ISBNs for $1,500. So it made it about $1.50 per each one of these. I have a feeling I'm just going to go ahead and these ISBNs are going to probably outlast my lifespan. There's just so many of them, but I wanted to be done with it because I didn't want to fool around with Bowker anymore and have to deal with any of their upsells or any of the other garbage products. I think it's a complete conflict of interest. And the mere fact that they have a monopoly on things and then have the audacity to upsell us on other things, get lost. Absolutely get bent. The reason why I will mention Bowker and Nielsen over any of these other ones is because they have a monopoly. We have no choice but to have to use them for buying ISBNs. Now, if you're outside the US, Australia, or UK, you're probably going to be fine. Places like Canada, you get your ISBNs for free. Love that. How about we start to embrace that model? Seems like a good suggestion to me. Hey, as we start to wrap things up, I want to, of course, bring again to your attention that the Get Covers giveaway is still available. If you have not entered, please do so. And you could do so daily, by the way. And if you missed the deadline, it's totally fine. Just go ahead and enter the very next contest. Go over to dalelinks.com/getcoversgiveaway, and you can be able to enter. Do it before June 6th at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Daytime. And I'll be going live on both my channels to draw a winner at noon on June 6th. So you don't want to miss out on that. Here's my final thoughts when it comes to some of these scary self-publishing services and companies. Do your research. There's nothing wrong with you taking the time to really sort out what makes sense to you. Ask questions. That's going to be the most important thing. Check Google, Trustpilot, any forums, ask other authors, go into Discord, my Discord preferably, but if you got to go to another one, that's totally fine. Always review the portfolios. Always check testimonials. Here's a good one. Type in the name of the service and the word scam right directly afterwards, and you'll see Google brings up a lot of information on it. You'll have some reading material to kind of sift through. So that way you know the pros and cons of using a particular service. Find an entry-level production to test the waters. If you decide, I'm going to go and do this, what I would recommend is don't be plugging down $10,000 freaking dollars to get a bestseller tag. See if there's something cheaper. Like, hey, what are you going to get me for $50? How about you get me something for $50? Let's see what you got. Find out what the upsells are. Say, hey, I'm going to buy this $11,000 package. What else am I going to expect? What are some of the other things that you're going to go ahead and try to sell me? Ask the uncomfortable questions. It's your money. It's your business. Ask them, what am I going to have to pay beyond this? The other recommendation I would recommend super above everything else, because I mentioned recommendation twice in a row right there, was cross-check any of the services through the Alliance of Independent Authors Watchdog list. This is a list that's put together from indie authors for indie authors. And they look at different services and companies and they rate them. If you see something that's red and it says a warning or a caution of some sort, you might want to kind of go the other direction, because these are thoroughly vetted, and it's not like any of these services can go over and pay off the Alliance of Independent Authors to get a better rating. They've tried. I've even spoke with Orna Ross right here on this podcast about it. It's pretty crazy. But all that being said, go over to dalelinks.com/watchdog, and you can always cross-check. If you don't see the name on that service, go ahead and recommend it to Ally. Say, hey, could you be able to check this out? Or maybe they can give you recommendations on how you can do your own service of doing a watchdog and seeing what's going to be good for you. Hey, this next week, we're going to be coming back to the podcast. I'm going to be talking about a new strategy for publishing on KDP. Till then, I will catch you next week, folks.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingwithdale.com for more information on how you can level up your self-publishing business. Also, check out our growing video-on-demand service, chock full of free and premium content, when you head over to theselfpublishinghub.com. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on your preferred podcasting platform. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.